Hey everybody, welcome back to the Working Man's Whiskey. I'm Bobby. Today's review I'd like to do is on Kessler. And Kessler's the bottom shelf whiskey. It's a blended whiskey. It's actually the number 2 American blended whiskey in the world, behind Seagram 7. And a little bit about Kessler, a little backstory here, or a couple backstories. So Julius Kessler came to the United States from Budapest, Hungary. Back in the later part of the 1800s, late 1860s, early 1870s, something like that. And he started off in Leadville, Colorado, which was a mining town, kind of your typical mining town, old west town, kind of like a Tombstone, Arizona, or Virginia City, Nevada, something like that. And he'd go from, in Leadville, he'd go from saloon to saloon selling his product, selling his whiskey here. And pretty soon he got to the point where he was able to put his whiskey on the back of donkeys or pack mules. And he'd take the whiskey to up to the silver mines. And he'd actually exchange his whiskey for silver with the miners there. So he'd go up the hill with Kessler on his pack mules and come back down with silver. So pretty good little trade off there. It's pretty sought after stuff. And anybody who knows me knows that I'm kind of partial to whiskeys that were there in the Old West. I like Old Crow and Old Overholt, a lot of the old school whiskeys that, stood the test of time. And Kessler is one of those whiskeys, it's, as I said, a blended whiskey. I'm usually a bourbon guy, but Kessler's pretty good stuff in its own right, guys. And, one of my favorite bars here in town, actually my favorite bar here in town, which is also, it's kind of like an old saloon. It's been around since 1859. It's called the Washoe House. So Google it, check it out. Got a pretty cool history there. Little side note, I guess I can tell you a little story. This doesn't really have anything to do directly with Kessler, but this place, Washoe House, back in the 1860s, 1865. Lincoln had just been assassinated, excuse me, and here in Sonoma County, California, Petaluma had their militia that they were Union sympathizers, and then we have a town here called Santa Rosa that they sympathized with the Confederates, and they had their militia there. So the Petaluma militia was going down Stony Point Road to Santa Rosa, and actually stopped at the Washoe House to drink, and I guess they had a few too many, and their wives had to pick them up the next day. So it was actually called the Battle of Washoe House, and it was the battle that never happened because they got too drunk to continue on their way to Santa Rosa. So anyway, Washoe House, my favorite bar, 1859, and Kessler is one of their house whiskeys, guys. And it's good stuff. It makes for a good mixer. And I like drinking this stuff straight too, guys, personally, because it's got a unique taste to it. A lot of blended whiskeys, like Canadian blended whiskeys like Crown Royal. I'll drink them straight in a pinch, but they make better mixers to me. Kessler here, there's something about it. It's got a unique taste. I'll tell you how it tastes in a second, but it's really good. I'll drink it straight sometimes. For some reason, guys, this stuff is really good if you put it in the freezer. And pour yourself a little glass here. You know, it's got like this kind of sweetness to it that for some reason goes really well in the freezer. So anyway, Kessler, let's open up this bottle. It's already opened, but I'll pour here. And guys, this is 40% ABV, which is 80 proof. And read you a little bit on the back here. It says 72.5% grain neutral spirits, 27.5% straight whiskeys 2 years old or more. Says Julius Kessler first distilled this fine product in America in the late 1800s. Every label still bears a facsimile of his signature, which is your assurance of authenticity and quality in every bottle. Kessler is a superb blend of choice American whiskeys, which is proud to have carried the slogan "Smooth as Silk" for over 50 years. And kind of a cool bottle there, guys. See Julius there on top, and you know, "Smooth as Silk" slogan, and then the horses and cart down below there. You know, it just looks like something you'd see in the Old West. So anyway, let's take a look at this. And guys, this has a pretty unique color. It's kind of a goldish brown. You know, I'm not sure. As it says 72.5% grain neutral spirits, 27.5% straight whiskeys 2 years old or more. I don't know what it's mixed with, what it's blended with, but that's pretty good stuff, guys. Let's take a sniff. All right, guys, and Kessler, when I say it's unique, you know, it's funny. It smells on the nose. You get like black licorice. You get this like leather note. Some people call it a saddle note, and it's a really good smell to me, guys. It's you know, some people might think, you know, leather, that didn't sound very good, but it's like a rustic type smell, and you know, it has a nice smell to it, guys. Let's take a sip. And guys, on the nose, or on the palate, excuse me, on the palate, you get that black licorice. You get like a nuttiness to it. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with horehound. You know, they use it. It's an ingredient in like cough drops, like old school type cough drops. You know, I think you find it in like Ricolas and whatnot. Anyway, back in the day, you know, horehound candy. It's pretty popular stuff. It was actually my grandfather's favorite candy, and I love horehound candy. You can't find it that often, but you know, when I find it, I buy it because something about it. It's like got this sweet, sappy, but like old school type, you know, flavor. You know, not overly sweet. It's pretty good. Anyway, this reminds me of horehound candy, and you know, that's kind of what I'm getting. As I said, the black licorice, that leathery kind of saddle note, a little bit of nuttiness, and that horehound candy. So, you know, it's a good whiskey, guys. I mean, I'll sip on this, no problem. You know, I mean, you know, some people might prefer to mix it. It doesn't have a harshness to it. It does have a little bit of a, just something you can't quite place, guys, but you know, a little tingle on the tongue there in the back of your mouth. But guys, it's not harsh. It's actually got a pretty good taste for a blended whiskey. It's always been a blended whiskey, so as I said, this is pretty close to Julius's original product. So if you find Kessler, it's pretty readily available. If you find it, definitely give it a try. And you know, just another kind of old school whiskey that's stood the test of time, and I can appreciate that. So for this bottle was about $9, guys. So usually you find it between, I'd say, $9 and $12, something like that. So if you find a bottle of Kessler, definitely give it a try. Affordable, very good. Drink it straight. Try freezing it, like I said. That's pretty good. Or you can mix it with whatever you want. And that's about it for now, guys. And until next time, cheers.